Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First things first, I have to get the cards in order so that I can pull them out because I forgot to bring the spread in together. All right, the cards are together now. Let's get to it. Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today. I like it. I really like it. We've got our Judgment card in its reversal in combination with our Two of Swords. I need to say, and we're going to talk a lot today about liminal spaces because I'm just getting a lot of that conversation coming up right now. You know, the beauty of being in, and that's why we're saying even now, like we were talking about this before we started today's reading. If you're feeling, I'm going to reiterate, if you're feeling a little blah right now, right? We're coming out of a very, very intense new moon. That Capricorn new moon was like no joke, because the thing with the Capricorn new moon is it creates that sense of like hard clarity, like being able to see something with a lot of clarity. When we're effectively working through in that context, sometimes, you know, we can, and again, especially because that was a black moon, so it was double new moon energy. It can feel very clean slate, but it can also feel very like blah. It almost feels like, and we've been articulating upon this. It can feel almost a little like dissociative, right? But it's not, I need to point this out. This isn't the energy of disassociation wherein you're avoiding something, right? This could feel a little bit like looking at something very objectively, or being able to see something with a perspective or a clarity that you haven't before. And that's allowing, I need to say, that's why I'm going to say even now, and I'm going to keep saying this right now for the duration of the Mars in retrograde period. And especially right now. Now is a very good time for brainstorming, but it's not a good time for barnstorming. You guys heard me say this before. For those who are joining me on social before we started the podcast, you know, we were talking a lot about that space, that like there may be a lot of ideas that are coming up now. There may be a lot of that energetic processing. How do I identify the difference between a good idea and a bad idea? The way we articulate the difference between a good idea and a bad idea is adding the vector of time. So, and I need to stress this right now, because with the Mars in retrograde, this is how everybody's feeling with their confidence. Like it's a lot of this like back and forth. So you may be going through this moment being like, nothing's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing's going to work out. It's going to be amazing, because that's the difficulty. I need to stress this. When there's a retrograde in Mars, it's not that you just become less confident. It's that confidence is fluctuating. The confidence is fluctuating. It would be easy if the confidence was at the confidence point, because then it's like, at least like, you know, like here's the thing, like the Aries energy. If you're losing, you're losing. If you're winning, you're winning. If you're going, like it's like a lot of that type of feeling. So it's like a lot of that, it makes it hard. It makes it hard to keep perspective if you're looking outside of the self for energetic confidence right now. This is why we keep saying it's really important to navigate right now with a sense of intentionality. So if you're having a lot of that space of having ideas coming to you, check them. And I'll point this out. A good idea will be a good idea tomorrow. Like, if you got like a really good idea, like, you know what I ought to do, being like that moment and then being like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like I want you to take those good ideas. This is the same thing I tell you guys. I'm telling you, it's very similar to eclipse energy, because this is what I tell you guys when you're going through the eclipse energy. When you got that good idea, I want you to stick it in a box. I want you to stick it in a box. And I want you to wait on it. And if it's like still a good idea, like after you take it out, okay, cool, it's a good idea. But if you look at it and go, oh, that would not have been a good idea, well, then you know that was an idea from your ego. Like, then you know that was an idea from the ego, because then and we're talking about this because this has a lot to do with what we've been seeing that's been navigated right now between masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine energy right now, this is a lot of that expansiveness of possibility. Masculine is opening up in big ways right now. But a lot of that may be feeling very, like, I want to just say, like, kind of weird for masculine right now. Because again, if you're healing if you're healing wounds of the ego, a good sign that your ego, your egoic shield is getting healed is the ability to see from different perspectives. There you go. Like, if you're wondering if it's working and you're starting to be, if the masculine's like, oh, I can start, I never thought about how they must have taken that. Oh, I must have looked. Oh, like, if you're having those moments, congratulations, masculine. You're healing your egoic shield, right? Because when the egoic shield is too big, we can't see over it. We can only see from the perspective of the self. But when we're healing the egoic shield, we're able to see over it. We can see from others' perspectives. We can see what's out there, right? So a lot of that work that we see now is building into that context of energetic empathy. And I got to tell you, even now, masculine energy, if you're having some moments right now and you're looking at something and saying, I wish I hadn't have done that. I wish I hadn't have said that. Congratulations. Right? Congratulations, because it's the articulation of recognizing that you've energetically matured to such an extent that you're healing an inner child from the past. So let that calibrate you going forward, right? And again, we don't just let go of the past and shake it off, right? Like I see even now, like a lot of that energy is utilizing that to set the energetic standards going forward. Right? That's stoicism. Stoicism isn't not feeling anything. Stoicism is feeling the full expanse of how one feels and letting it set your intention going forward. While for feminine energy right now, bearing in mind, again, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, I just see a lot of energetic focus at this time. This is why even if you're in partnership right now, you may be feeling a lot of solitude. Because a lot of that energetic solitude we see even now, like, that's more of the feminine getting very driven, getting very focused, really drilling down into something right now. So that ability of kind of like vibe checking counterpart and recognizing that you're in different spaces. What do we do when we're in healthy counterpart, like energy? We can feel the other, and we can understand, like, the space that we give one another is that gift of grace, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, for a lot of that energy coming into divine union at this time, this is why I can see energy saying, I'm giving that space. Why is the energy giving situations or circumstances space? Because if these are energetic situations wherein we saw that they were navigating turbulence as they move something into a deepening partnership space, that space of looking at something and building closure by saying we just see things in different ways, that is why we see a lot of that energy coming, like giving someone the opportunity to see something from their perspective, right? But also having a limitation in terms of how far they will go, because these are not energies that are trying to convince someone of the validity of something that they energetically feel. Why would you have to convince another of the validity of something that you feel within? There's a lot of that energy that's healed to such an extent that they may carry sorrow for that. Right? This is some of that, like, sacred, this is what we're talking about with sacred pain. You carry sorrow if someone doesn't see something from one's own perspective. You feel that sense of energetic pain if something that the way another person sees that causes them pain. But again, if someone sees something in a way that you yourself don't see something and it's causing them energetic pain, you say to them, I hope the day comes where you can see something in a way that it does not feel like it's causing harm to you. And that's why we see that there's a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now that is creating peace via compassion, in moving further away from some things or someone that articulates the pain in perceiving something in such a way that it's like it. And I can see even now, like, that's the energy saying it's an impossibility point when we want to heal something outside of the self, but we recognize that perception is such that it creates a limitation space. Now, for masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, this is why I'm seeing that something about this time right now is so, I just keep hearing, like, these are like war, this is like warrior energy, man. I'm telling you right now, you mark my words, the partnerships that are coming through right now during the Mars energy retrograde, the partnerships that are taking shape during this Mars retrograde, it's warrior energy. And why do I define it as warrior energy? Because we see even now that a lot of that energy, it's not the energy that's fighting. You see this? It's not the energy that's fighting, right? It's the energy that has conquered the self, conquered their own fears, conquered their own ego to be able to move into partnership at this particular moment. Because for feminine, a lot of that wound is having to heal those places where trust has been energetically violated. And when we're trying to heal wounds of trust, requires us to be warriors, because it requires us to go right back. Like, again, a lot of the feminine being like, trust? You want me to trust again? The thing that got me injured in the first place? Yes. You got to trust to heal trust. I know it sucks. I know it sucks. I know it sucks. The only way to heal it is to go back in and recognize that trust is always worth it. Discernment is trust is never a failure point. Discernment is how we fail, right? So we see even now that a lot of that feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, going into that space and giving themselves grace and compassion in those spaces of saying, I forgive myself for those moments that my discernment was not correct. Right? This is the energy that is building into that construct, utilizing discernment as they learn to trust again. Now, for masculine energy, this is masculine energy being like working through warrior energy, but it's the energy of the gentle giant. Why is it the energy of the gentle giant? Because if this is the masculine that is coming into that space of identifying that when the ego is too large, it actually blinds the masculine from being able to see what is happening around them, right? That when our ego is too big, all it does is say, I create a shield around myself and around myself only. The only person I'm willing to protect is the self. This is why once the masculine recognizes it, it's very hard to navigate from a place of the ego, because it feels very energetically selfish. Right? And that's not to say that there aren't spaces and places where the ego is energetically useful, right? But the healed masculine energy recognizes that a good shield is one that you do not bow to it, but that it creates a space of being able to protect, but also something that you can move aside when necessary to protect those around you. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, coming into that space of potentially feeling like the regretful warrior, right? Having that modality of saying, I've learned lessons. I've recognized those moments that my shield moved me further from the things I cared about because I could not see over it. That's some heavy energy there. So I'm telling you right now, a lot of these connections that are taking shape right now, like especially during a moment where confidence goes like this, all intentionality, all that inner work. It's going to be like, I'm telling you right now, it's beautiful, but it's hard. Center card for today's spread is one card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. Now again, there's a lot of nostalgia here. A lot of nostalgia. I know it. I know. Listen, if you're feeling extremely nostalgic right now, I'm going to say better out than in, right? Because when we come through those modalities, that ability of recognizing and looking back upon something, that is a gift, right? Because this is the energy that is honoring their journey on the way. This is a lot of this energy I'm seeing that says, I look back on my past because it is how I found myself where I am. And by honoring my journey in the past, it can help me set my direction in terms of where I'm going forward, right? A lot of this energy, even now for the energy in separation, the ability to talk about the past is one of the hallmarks or signs that they're seeing of someone that has healed and advanced on their journey, because this is not energy that says, I don't know what happened back there. I don't know, a bunch of terrible stuff happened to me and I had nothing to do with it. I was just a poor victim to it. Like, again, this is the energy that doesn't say, like, I take full responsibility, everything was my fault. This is the energy that looks at the past and heals by parsing it, by parsing and saying, this was what was within my responsibility to change. This is what I'm actively changing. This sucked. There was nothing here that I could have changed about what that was. That was something that was just, again, no matter what I could have done, that was just something that energetically occurred, right? This is the energy that identifies and recognizes one another because they look at the past not from a place of bitterness and saying, I hate the past. This is the energy that is constantly looking upon the past to be able to identify what lessons they're supposed to be extracting and taking going forward to help not repeat it, right? This is why cynicism is so incredibly toxic, because cynicism is looking at the past and just saying everything back there is just going to repeat itself. But it's also an inaccuracy about what cynicism is supposed to be. Cynicism is that space of identifying and, again, working into that pathwork of refinement wherein we are able to look back upon the past. We don't hide from it so that we can, because we recognize that when we look back on the past, we missed energetic lessons. Right? It's the past that ever changes, and the ability to move forward allows for that contemplation of the journey that has led towards that point. So there's a profound amount of self-awareness that we're seeing that some of these new energetic connections that are starting to take shape are bringing about, because these are not energies that taught, like I can see someone saying, like, these aren't energies that say you're lost in the past, because this is the energy that says, I don't want to go back to the past, but I hold the past energetically sacred, right? So even here, there's a lot of that work that's happening, but it's a lot of unpacking, right? It's a lot of unpacking. And for a lot of energy right now, this could be energy that is preparing to move back into a space of potentially seeking energetic partnerships, working through, sifting through those lessons to set the energetic standards going forward, right? A lot of contemplation here. This is why, again, for the energy coming into divine union, that space of saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. But again, we recognize and we honor another person's perspective, and we move away from them if the perspective that they have is one that causes them pain. And so we see a lot of that energetic compassion that's building forth right now, and energy moving deeper into divine union, because it feels like a maturation process, right? And when we mature, that is why it sometimes can feel isolating, because we don't mature in the same degree as others around us. Sometimes we have to drift away from someone in the process of energetically maturing. But what happens when we have in those maturation processes? We say to ourselves, perhaps I'll see you again someday, right? Because if you're maturing in a space that feels like it's advancing faster than another, because again, there's no qualitative space in terms of where we are, it's all a matter of perspective. If something about the perspective that another has causes them pain, whereas you're seeing something and it feels positive, you say to them, I hope the day comes that you can arrive at a point that that perspective is one that we share and is not energetically painful to you. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, like a lot of this energetic fluctuation that I'm seeing that's being navigated here, it's a lot of it's working through one's own. There's a lot of energy right now deep within divine union that is really building into preparation of the year ahead, is what I'm seeing. And for masculine and feminine, it is bringing out different qualities and characteristics. For masculine energy, again, feeling more expansive, looking outside for more possibilities. Feminine, much more energetically focused, much more in that space or place where, again, getting very like working out necessary distractions and keeping one's prioritization points. Like I see even now, like there's a lot of that different energy here, and that's why I see even now a lot of that gift in partnership is being able to find that energetic solitude and giving each other the space, because I see even now like that's the energy that finds a deeper level of solitude in the context of partnership, because they feel energetically safe to delve into those places. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today are, we have here our 5 of Swords in its upright in combination with our 9 of Cups in its reversal. So a lot of this work, even now, it's hard. I'm going to tell you, if you're feeling a little energetically exhausted right now, it's the vibes. Like it's because I'm telling you, it's a Mars retrograde. And the thing with it, the reason it's so difficult is that it doesn't stay consistent. It would be easier right now if one's own energetic confidence is such you say that's just the way it's going to be, right? It would be easier right now if you're like, everything is all open to possibility. But if you're feeling those moments, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're feeling that wave form of being like, everything is awesome, everything is doomed, everything is amazing, everything is doomed, anything could happen, nothing is ever going to change. That is the Mars retrograde talking. Okay, that is the Mars retrograde talking. And that's why we're seeing that a lot of the energy right now, everybody's feeling, I'm going to put it this way. Everybody is feeling right now the way Aries typically feel all the time. Whereas all those with Mars placements are going, why am I fine? What has gotten into everybody? Right? Because a lot of that has to do with what's happening right now with the Mars energy. Now, continuing to get clarification between our Judgment card in its reversal in combination with our Two of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now. Those are two cards. We've got two cards coming out. This is that blasé energy, that Three of Pentacles in its reversal, and our Knight of Wands. This is literally what I've been saying. I'm going to say it again. Brainstorming, not barnstorming. Brainstorming, not barnstorming, because when your energetic courage is going up and down and up and down and up and down, you might get like a wild hair of an idea right now and be like, I know what I'm going to do. And then you're going to like do it. And then your confidence is going to drop again because Mars is in retrograde and you're going to go, what did I do? Like, I know what I'm going to do. What did I do? What am I going to do? Like making sure. So I'm going to say it again. And that is not a space that says, I'm not saying don't do anything, right? I'm saying the way you can clear that is if it was a good idea, if it's a good idea right now, I bet it's going to be an even, like your higher self wants you to know. This is what your higher self's saying. If it's a good idea right now, is it a good idea in an hour? Is it a good idea tomorrow? Right? Because letting that effectively calibrate is helping one identify and recognize what are those energetic waves that are coming from the egoic space. Because the ego wants, like, and I'm going to tell you even now, and that's why we're dealing with situations that are either based on, again, building conviction or poor impulse control. Like we want to avoid the energy during the Mars retrograde that is articulations of poor impulse control. Okay, so the way we calibrate for that is, again, saying to oneself, if it's a good idea, it'll be a good idea in an hour. Okay? This is your public service. This is your public service announcement from the universe right now. Okay? And if someone is, and I'm going to tell you this right now, if someone's coming towards you in this way, in the same way, feel free to give them that advice. We need to share that message collectively. Okay? Because I also see a lot of people dealing with someone being like, what are you doing right now? And someone being like, I don't know. Okay, let's start from there. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Swords in its upright in combination with our Four of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Cups in its reversal. So it's like, it's really, if you're feeling like you got vertigo right now, like that's why. And I wish I could tell you, like, it's just like, it's going to pass. Okay. It's like when Mars comes out of retrograde, everybody's going to like, it's because everybody's going to feel a little bit like, well, Mars, actually, I feel like Mars energy is going to be like, oh, I'm back to like being myself again. But like the Mars energy right now is going, this is kind of nice. Like I see the energy of the Mars. Everyone else around them is going like it's like the dog in the cafe and the dog's just sitting there sipping tea and everyone else is like, ah! And Mars is just like, what's going on? But for those, so again, and it's like, again, everybody's feeling the way Aries energy feels every other day, like every day of the week. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, so hold anybody you know with Aries placements right now. I want you to look at them and I want you to be like, do you feel like this all the time? I guarantee you the person with the Aries placements can be like, every day of my life, but I've been kind of chill recently. The weirdest thing, It's soporific for the energy of those with Aries placements. But again, working through this right now is the same message. Courage and confidence are neighbors, but they live next to each other, but they're not the same thing. Because courage cannot be where confidence is, and confidence cannot be where courage is. When you have confidence, when you have surety, what need do you have for courage? Like, you don't need courage. You've got confidence. Like, confidence is surety. Like, and when you don't have energetic confidence, that's when you need courage, right? So I'm saying even now, when we've got a lack of confidence right now, right? The confidence is all like the Mars retrograde. Confidence is at an all-time low, but it's not. It's energetically like this. So we build into the context of allowing ourselves to be energetically courageous. And again, the way we identify the difference between being courageous and being impulsive is by recognizing intention is something that we see into the horizon point, right? It's not just doing what we immediately feel drawn to do. So being very intentional right now, maintaining one's own energetic focus, is going to help you through a fluctuation in confidence. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Four of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Five of Swords and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, I love it, our 10 of Swords in its reversal. Now, and again, we've got double 10 cards here, okay? We've got double 10 cards. And a lot of this 10 card, right, is a lot of that fluctuation that we're currently feeling, why it feels like a liminal space. Because it would be easy, like I said, it would be easy if it just stuck to one thing or another. Everything's going up, everything's going down, everything's going up, everything's going down. The problem right now is because of the Mars retrograde, it's like, oh, like it's like that, because it's like you can't stay, like it's like your confidence, you're probably recognizing your confidence is going up and down and up and down. Intentionality is how we navigate through the fluctuations in confidence. And the way you can identify something that is impulsive versus something that is intentional, saying to oneself, if it's a good idea, it'll be a good idea in 5 minutes. and it's a beautiful, I got to tell you right now, this is a beautiful energy for new ideas, for planning, for projects, right? For being energetically expansive. It's not a good time. Now is not the time to be energetically impulsive, right? So be very mindful of that, because it feels very, and it's hard too, because those who are not navigating this energy as well, you may be recognizing or feeling someone coming towards you and just being like, what are you doing? Like, because that is the energy that feels more of the amplification, that isn't recognizing it, that is feeling more energetically impulsive. And I like to point out, if you want to help calibrate why, like something, if someone can't explain what they're doing, it's more energetically impulsive. Right? So letting that kind of, again, don't be triggered right now. Be inquisitive, right? Be compassionate and inquisitive. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Swords in its upright in combination with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with Hierophant in its reversal. So, and this is a lot of that Pluto moving into Aquarius. Took a minute, huh? Right? Because again, a lot of that feeling, and I keep seeing, like, one of the things that's beautiful about this, like a lot of that energetic unpacking, if you will, has to do, they're saying a lot of that shift out of Pluto in Capricorn. This may be feeling like a lot of work in the sphere of the personal. Right? Because I see even now it has a lot to do with manifestation goals. Because a lot of those manifestation goals, like a lot of the transition that we saw coming out of Pluto in Capricorn was moving towards a manifestation goal in any way, shape, or form. The ends justify the means. Doesn't matter how you get there. You just try to reach for that. But there's a recognition point, and this is what's beautiful about the Pluto and Aquarius conversation. When we don't have energetic standards and we reach for the thing that we desire, we transform in the process of reaching for it. So what's beautiful about this is I feel like a lot of this Pluto and Aquarius energy that we're experiencing is that pause point in saying, what is the purpose of moving towards a manifestation goal if we lose sight of ourselves in the process? What is the purpose of moving towards something without the energetic standards that keep us in alignment? It's not just enough to have a manifestation goal. The manifestation goal must always be in accordance with one's own energetic standards. So we see even now that there's a lot of energy that is parsing through that process, working into that space or place of feeling their own certainty and security of the self, and also appreciating where they're moving towards on their journey, but also, and again, like welcome to 2025, 2025, which is basically honoring your nope. What does honoring your nope mean? Honoring your nope is that moment of saying, and I can see even now for a lot of that energy and separation, saying I would do anything for healthy partnership except lose sight of who I am, right? So we see even now, and this is difficult for masculine and feminine. This is why I'm saying even now, a lot of those energetic connections that are forming right now are going to be so energetically powerful to a certain extent. Because I see even now a lot of the feminine energy saying, I would do anything for healthy partnership except lose sight of myself, except change myself out. And this is the feminine saying, I could move towards a partnership at any moment. But what is the purpose of being in partnership if I cannot be within my own sense of being the self in the process? So there's a lot of the energy right now of the feminine carrying the energetic standard forward with their manifestation goal, stating, I'm looking for the healthy partnership where I can be myself and maintain my own energetic standards in the process. While for masculine, this is feeling more like that work of saying, again, masculine saying, if I say I'm seeking partnership and I invent a false sense of self, if I let my ego guide me into things, then those that find me fall for the ego, which is the false version of self. It's a false version of self that's supposed to protect the inner self. And then I feel like I'm living a life of illusion because someone has fallen in love with my energetic ego instead of myself. So there's a lot of this masculine energy and separation that says, I work to heal. This isn't the energy saying I'm trying to let go of my ego. There's a lot of the masculine energy saying when I'm friends with my ego, I can say to my ego, buddy, I love you, but sometimes you want to protect me so much, you make it hard for people to talk to me. So this is the energy that builds into that context of being able to put their authentic self forward, thereby healing the energetic egoic space and allowing that context of saying, when I'm at my most vulnerable, I allow feminine to fall in love with me there. I allow the feminine to see me and find me there and not feel like I'm building up a construct of what feminine is trying to build towards. Because when I do that, I protect myself from being able to be loved in the process. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Knight of Wands in its upright in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with our Ten of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Come on out. Clarification coming through right now. I love it. With our Eight of Wands in its upright. So the one thing I am seeing here, the nice thing about this energy, and this is a little bit of that, like, thank you Capricorn new moon, because again, Capricorn new moon energy is all about clear perspective, right? It's all about clear perspective. So what's happening right now is I see that a lot of that energy, allowing for that clear perspective to kind of set the course in relationality to one's own path of progress. So I see even now a lot of communication, a lot of movement, things starting to pick up again, right? A lot of this energy that we're seeing here. But again, working through a lot of that right now has to do with navigating how others are experiencing these fluctuations, which is why it might feel like on one hand, you may be having some of the most open, positive, productive conversations possible. If you're working in the modality of someone that is recognizing the fluctuations and they're not overly internalizing them. While at some spaces here, you may be feeling like you're having a lot of energy coming towards you, and it can feel more confusing if someone is operating from the egoic space, because you might be recognizing someone that is like energetically fluctuating but not recognizing it. And so even here we see that ability of doing that work or communicating upon that, like I just keep seeing like progress, like pathwork of positivity, a lot of healthy planning right now. Again, the same message is great for brainstorming, not great for barnstorming. Okay? Like let it reaffirm, like recognize the difference between conviction and impulse. Nuance, like sometimes can look like the same thing, but they're different. Continuing to get a clarification between our 10 of cups in its reversal, and this is that 10 of swords in its reversal. I told you, like, ooh, this is the Mars retrograde roller coaster, right? Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. What do we do when we are on, like, what do we do when we're on a roller coaster? Keep your eyes focused on the flipping horizon, okay? Keep your eyes focused on the horizon, okay? Keep your eye focused on the horizon. So stay energetically steady. Stay intentional. Don't get caught in the moment. Think about longer term. Think about the bigger picture, okay? And I know you're saying to me, you're saying like, great, it's easier said than done. I know it's easier said than done. I know. Like, but that's why I say even now, if you've got mantras right now, like, give yourself, like, and again, if you're feeling triggered, like, and this is what I'm talking about. If you're feeling triggered, like, repeat your mantra. But I need to point this out, meaning your energetic conviction point. Repeat the thing that feels like it is moving you towards your energetic pathwork of purpose, right? And a lot of that work that we're seeing here, I just want to recognize and identify, that is how, like, we work into that context or in that space of identifying, right? Because when we're feeling the modality of emotionality, like when we're riding those waves and we can't, like, we feel like we're not sure where to do, our energetic conviction is what helps us set our course. So allow this to be a moment, like now is a good time, like set those intentions in relationality to what that pathwork of purpose is for the year. Because again, it's a little bit of this clean slate energy, but it's beautiful to be able to build upon what it is that you're looking to energetically change, right? Like, is it blah or is it a clean slate? Right? And I want you to say that to yourself. If you're feeling more blah, I want you to say, this isn't blah energy. It's a blank page, right? And what do we do with blank pages? We fill them in. Get out the crayons, like, get out the crayons. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of wands in its reversal, swords in its reversal, in combination with the Hierophant in its reversal. Can I get one card, please? And we've got here a lot of that energy. We've got that death card energy here. So again, it's transformative, right? It's transformative. And, I want to say even now, it's very easy. It's very easy when we're in liminal spaces for a lot of that feeling to turn into energetic dread. Don't let it. And I know it sounds easy to say, like, to just say don't let it, but like recognize one's own ability. And like, this is why we talk about the fact that there may be like a little bit of that, like, energetic, like there's some, like, this is a thing, like a lot of this Mars retrograde, it requires that sense or space of having to energetically confront the shadow, like confronting those parts of the self that create anxiety, that create fear, right? Working through that construct. It's not easy, right? Because a lot of this work that we're seeing right now is helping to determine and remembering that fear, everything we have, like everything we're given, is an energetic gift. There is nothing we do not have that's a gift. But whenever we have something in too much, it becomes a problem, right? Because when, like, there's too much of something, it's not energetically healthy. So again, working through, allow this Mars retrograde be one where you're able to energetically confront the fear. And those fears, the way we navigate healthy fear is we talk to the fear. We say, what are you doing here? And being like, I'm scared about something. What are you scared about? Like this. Oh, that's a solvable problem. Thank you for telling me that. I'll get right on it, right? Versus the energy that goes, I'm fear, and being like, what are you doing here? I'm fear about what? Like, you know, like you're not helpful right now. Like, would you like something to do? Do you need somewhere to go? Like, just kind of helping to alleviate and moving it into something that feels energetically productive, okay? And again, one of the ways that maybe even requiring right now across all of the frequencies, like confronting those anxieties. Now, if you're in separation right now, I feel like a lot of energy saying the hardest thing I ever had to do was talk to somebody. Like I can see some energy right now saying after that heartbreak, after that wound of trust, it took all of the strength, like for feminine, all of the strength to go back into that space of learning to energetically trust again. Felt like I was stepping off a cliff every step of the way, right? But what do we see for the masculine energy that they're working towards? This is the masculine energy saying, I recognize those modalities wherein my ego moved me further away from the things that I desired. Never again am I going to allow my own ego to move me in a direction oppositional to the one that I desire to move towards. Hardest thing I ever had to do was move towards feminine with a place of authenticity, just telling them how I feel, just telling them what I want, and fearing that sense of rejection, but also remembering that rejection is redirection. And that's not something we say to like pat someone on the head and say, next time, champ. We say that meaning if something about your authenticity turns someone off, that, I got to tell you, that's not your soulmate. I'm just telling you right now, if something about your authenticity turns someone off, that's not the one, you know, like, and that's what we effectively identify and recognize, right? So we see even now, like a lot of this energy doing the hard part first, right? And overcoming those limitations of the self in the process. Now, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, I can see a lot of this energy moving into divine union and saying, I didn't expect it to be this hard. Why? Because there's a lot of energy I'm seeing. They're seeing a lot of fluctuations outside of the self in relationality to moving towards pathwork of purpose with another, and then suddenly feeling fluctuations outside of partnership. It's very painful when you experience that, right? Because a lot of that energy, I keep on hearing them saying to one another, it wasn't my intention, right? When we move in healthy partnership, we don't do it for effect. We do it because we're energetically affected, which is why if another person is affected, when we're doing something that we have been affected by, we hold a space of compassion for how another is perceiving something. But we also apologize because we say at that moment, I'm sorry, I cannot change your perception because I did not do it with that intention. So we see even now, like a lot of that grace that's occurring right now is energy that is moving away from those that may be feeling that volatility, seeing them move deeper into partnership. And it feels like an act of energetic compassion in the process, right? That is the sense of saying, I hope this isn't goodbye. I hope to see you one day if you ever change your perspective, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, this is just very existential right now. I just see a lot of energy deep within divine union just getting very existential. I told you there's a lot of this like internal soul journeying that's happening right now for masculine and feminine, and they're giving each other space because it's happening in different ways. I told you masculine, more expansive right now, feminine, more focused. Both of them experiencing the transformative quality of Pluto coming into Aquarius in different ways, right? But again, even in that disparity, they feel like they're both in the, they're experiencing it. It's just having different impacts on them, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Wands and its upright in combination with our Three of Wands and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Hangman. Guys, it's a liminal space. It's a liminal space. If you're feeling weird right now, if you're feeling anticipatory, I want you to say, it's a liminal space, right? It's because and it's going to feel like it's like the new moon hangover, right? I want you to, again, and I want you to say, like, I want you to really work through. And if this is impacting you in a way that it feels more like dread, I'm going to tell you right now, I want you to get your crayons out. I want you to color into that blank space. I want you to move the energy into a space of possibility and not energetic dread. Okay? Like, because it's like, like you can take the crayon and just like start drawing, like, it's like let that, don't like, and recognize it, right? Be like, I'm worried, and be like, okay, well, what's the solution to that? Right? Worry is the space of compassion. Like when we navigate that, we look at our fear and we say to our fear, look, buddy, I love you too. Like, you keep me safe. But sometimes, like when you're like, when you get like, you can be a little dramatic, right? Like, we navigate in the space of saying, you are helpful to me if there's something that I can do with you, right? And if not, we give, like, when someone comes towards us, you have to look at your fear. If the fear comes towards you and be like, I'm scared, but what? I don't know. Like, you give it something to do. You say, let's go put that somewhere, buddy. I don't know why you'd bring that in here. That's weird. Like, what is that? Okay. Like, right? Let's see if we can find something else for you to do right now. Like, there has to be a little bit of compassion with the self, right? There has to be a little bit of compassion with the self in the process right now. Now, and a lot of that is, like, again, focusing and trying to bring that into a space of joy, right? Like, and I know it's difficult. I know it's energetically difficult. But, when we're in that space, when we bring joy into places of despair, we're able to move things into a place that helps us help amplify into the context of hope. And remembering that hope is a gift, because hope becomes a plan so long as you're able to take that hope and put legs on it, right? Like putting activation point, like not just existing in the context of something that you hope for, but moving that into the manifestation of what you're starting to move towards, So, like, a lot of that energy today that we're seeing across the frequencies, when you're feeling energetically despairing, let hope be that flashlight. Right? And that's not the hope that feels like it's false, because a hope is only false if you're not moving toward in accordance to it. Right? So, like, let that be your energetic point of activation today, especially if you're feeling a little blah. Get up. Like, don't just dwell in it. Get yourself out of it, right? I know I can see the energy being all cranky, being like, I don't want to. Like, I know you don't want to. You'll feel better afterwards, okay? Like, go take a walk. It really is like a go take a walk kind of energy. Continuing to get clarification between our Three of Wands and its upright, in combination with our Death card and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. I love this. Our Six of Cups in its upright. Now, I'm going to tell you even now, there is a lot of karmic clearing that is happening right now. But and I need to point this out. What's beautiful about this karmic clearing that we're seeing at this time is this isn't the energy that is saying, it's good, I forgot all about that. This is the energy that's making peace with things, right? And what's beautiful when we make energetic peace with something, like, this is how we navigate in the space of karma. Because I'm going to say it again, karma is not like a load or like on our back that we carry. It is homework, right? And so what do we do when we're trying to work through good energetic homework? When you're doing homework effectively, you understand the lesson. You don't just do it. You don't just say, I did all the things, right? When you understand the energetic lesson, you've actually finished homework, right? There's a difference between just phoning it in and doing energetic homework. So I see even now, like, I see a lot of energy right now that is building into that context of closure as it relates to situations and circumstances connected to karma, wherein they're looking back on something and they're understanding the energetic lesson, right? And that ability of understanding an energetic lesson is such that we recognize, right? And this is what the beauty of some of this Capricorn moon, double void moon is the articulation point, right? When we're moving in the context of understanding something, we say, this is what I couldn't, this is what I could do better. And this is what I couldn't help, right? This is what was within my own energetic standards, right? And this is the important thing, because this is the Pluto and Aquarius that we're talking about here. This was within my energetic standards to be able to change and fix. And this would have moved me out of my energetic standards to try to fix, or it was outside of my energetic control, right? So we see even now, like there's a lot of that same message in terms of clearing the energetic karma that says, give me the clarity, right? Give me the clarity in looking in situations and seeing what was in my purview to be able to do better. That'll now set the pathwork going forward. And give me the clarity to understand what was outside of my own control. But even more specifically, what could have been in my own control, but I would not move towards because it would move me off of my own energetic standards. It would move me beyond the person that I am, right? So there's a lot of that energy here that's navigating into that point, and it's allowing for a lot of energy to make peace with things as they continue forward into 2025. So a lot of that, like, and that's why I see even now, there's some of this for energy right now in separation. I see this energy making energetic peace with the past in this way. And in that context, this is why we talk about the fact that these are the energetic warriors that are moving into partnership at this time, because these are the energies that are moving into, for feminine energy, it is with courage, right? And for masculine energy, it feels more like surrender. Because in both of those contexts, remembering when we say surrender, we don't mean giving up. This is what we mean when we say surrender. That acknowledgement point that is articulated via Stoicism. Continuing forward in this is where we see a lot of these energies are meeting each other. So a lot of that work, right? But it's heavy. These are heavy intentional partnerships that are forming at this time. For energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is recognizing not just the work in partnership, but what you sometimes anticipate outside of partnership that you could not control as a result of being in partnership. And that's why we see, again, a lot of that energetic heaviness that's coming through in some of those lessons, because I keep hearing a lot of that energy having to navigate situations of talking to others and saying, that wasn't my intention, right? If another comes towards you at a moment that you're moving into divine union, and only in that moment, like, articulates some pain that they're experiencing, this is the energy that, again, tries to heal something by articulating to another and saying, it wasn't my intention. We move into divine union because we are energetically affected, not to create an effect, right? And this is how that energy is making peace, even if they're having to move away from someone in that context, because it's the energy that creates space from another perceiving something that hurts them by having a bit of that gentle compassion. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, I just see a lot of that energy working in that space of energetically prioritizing. And a lot of it feels like that contemplation point and navigating those similar fears that we spoke about. But again, that's also the recognition that I see that a lot of the energy articulates and feels, that when we're navigating those spaces, like, you know, when we care, like, this is why love is so hard, because when we care, it creates fear, right? Like love, it's like, but in that space, we almost hold that energetic fear sacredly, because that is the space that we amplify and articulate as it relates to feeling that sense of energetic preciousness. So I see even now there's a lot of that contemplation that's occurring in those spaces, wherein we identify and recognize that feeling of energetic protectiveness that was coming from the energy that was coming into divine union, that is now being felt for the energy deep within. Because you'll remember a few days ago, the energy coming into divine union was feeling very energetically protective, and now the energy deep within divine union is feeling that as well. Continuing to get clarification between our hangman in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its upright. Final card for today's spread is we've got here our King of Cups in its reversal. So I'm going to talk directly right now to masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I'm seeing a lot of emotional processing that is occurring at this time. Like there's a lot of emotionality here. And I can see even now, I'm going to say this again emphatically, for any of the masculine energy that's starting to see things from different perspectives. If you weren't doing that before, I want you to recognize that that is a result of healing the egoic shield. I want you to recognize that it is painful, right? I know it's hard, it's painful when we have that perception point, but it's also a gift. We're talking a lot about sacred pain right now, because in those modalities, and I need to say this to you, when you're in that space that you can see something from a point of view that you couldn't before, this is what we talk about with inner child healing. Because again, that inner child does not mean, this isn't inner child healing, meaning like you go back to the person you were when you were 2. If you didn't have that perspective a week ago, that's your inner child. That's who you're healing right now. Because the inner child is one that says, I forgive the version of self that did not have the clarity of the person I am today. It wasn't their intention, right? So we see even now, like a lot of that energy, this is not the energy that surrenders a lesson and goes, I'm free of that. This is the energy that says, I'm never going to not see something in that way, because now I can see it and I don't want to repeat those same energy. Like this is the energy that feels that weight, right? But again, being able to have that moment and feel that weight is the gift, because it allows for that path work of energetic correction, right? Like when you see something in a different way, it changes you. And even in that moment, I see a lot of that energy. And I'm going to say this again to masculine energy experiencing this. You are never late for your journey. You are always on time. You're never late to your journey. The gift of being able to perceive something, and this is how we heal the inner child. You're experiencing that now because this is when you are ready to receive it, right? And that work, like again, you recognize that is the energy of within that like you're then able to bring forth as it relates to your determination points and your intentions without. While for a lot of the feminine energy right now, I'm going to say again, I feel like a lot of the reason, and you have to understand here, this is why it's hard for feminine to move forward right now, because I see that feminine has a lot of clarity, particularly in circumstances and situations. I see a lot of feminine processing and saying, nothing is more difficult than the unintended wound, right? When we unintentionally wound one another, this is why we see the feminine becomes more energetically trepidatious, because it's almost easier to see a situation or circumstance where someone was directly trying to wound. But when someone is inadvertently wounding because they cannot see themselves, this is why the energy of the feminine works in that context of saying to masculine, when you've done that work on the self, I feel safe. Because when the masculine energy is not healed, they inadvertently hurt those around them with the egoic shield, right? So a lot of that work that we see that is occurring here, this is a lot of the feminine that's saying, I recognize and identify, I have my faith. I have faith in the masculine energy's capacity to heal. And this is the feminine that says the energy of the masculine that has not been in a space of being healed in the past, they were the exception to the rule. I am moving forward with confidence because I am not being cynical in terms of what I can expect from masculine. I'm holding masculine energetically accountable and being conscientious and being discerning for the masculine that's recognizing that they're doing that work so that we can build in a context of being able to be our authentic selves with one another. And this is the feminine that says, I must allow I must allow a point of trust to masculine. I need to give the masculine the benefit of the doubt. Because when I don't give masculine the benefit of the doubt, I say I'm going to say that you have to be like, this is the wound that cuts twice, because not only did someone hurt me, but I'm going to assume that you are also going to hurt me, right? So we see even now, this is a feminine that says, never have I been more courageous giving masculine the benefit of the doubt, right? Never have I been more courageous in being able to move towards masculine again, with the affirmation of saying that the wounds that hurt me in the past are not the rule. They are the energetic exception. While for energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of that same energy I'm seeing was someone articulating and saying to another, it wasn't my intention, right? And that modality of experience, I see even now, again, that same feeling. Masculine potentially seeing something in a different perspective here. I feel like a lot of that masculine energy is like recognizing maturation by feeling themselves in a space where they can see like almost experiences of the past version of self coming towards them as they're moving into divine union. I can almost see the masculine like navigating those points with a point of compassion, being like, I too recall those moments that I felt that way, right? For feminine, it's more difficult coming into divine union here because there's a lot of the feminine energy that navigates the hurt of something changing around them via their own point of energetic access, right? Continuing. And like, so I see even now there's a lot of emotional processing that's occurring right now for the energy coming into divine union. And it's painful, but it's reaffirming. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, I just keep seeing this is the energy. It's giving me more of that sense. Like it's more of that like hermit energy. The solitude that we experience, being able to be in different modalities, but also feeling that space of comfortability with one another in the process. So I see even now that both for masculine and feminine, navigating that work, a lot of it is having to either work through the fluctuations of the self that we were talking about, or having to navigate them in energy outside the self that is not in a space that they're recognizing them and moving more in that space of impulsivity. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is 9 of Wands in its upright. So I'm going to say this again. The difficulty, and we're going to keep talking about this, the difficulty with this Mars retrograde energy is it'd be one thing if it stayed low with confidence. It would be another thing if it stayed high, because at least there it gives you ground to build. But there's so much of this like back and forth energy here. It's hard to have confidence on things right now, right? It feels like nothing is sure. Courage is what we do when confidence is lacking. You can't have courage. I know you can't have courage where confidence is. Confidence and courage do not share the same address, because you don't need confidence when you have courage. You don't need courage when you have confidence. You know, when you're in that space, it's either one or the other, right? So we see even now, I want you to really channel that space of energetic courage. And the way you can tell, I'm going to say it again. If you're feeling courageous and you're saying, is this my ego? Is this me being impulsive? Or is this me being courageous? Listen to me very closely, okay? The way you can tell the difference between impulse and courage is if there's a horizon point, right? Courage, conviction has a horizon point. Conviction has a pathwork of what you're heading towards. Impulse is more like it's a lot more reactive. It's more of that sense of like, you know, it may feel more satisfying. It may feel good, right? It may feel good, but does it have a purpose? So let that conversation, and that's why I keep saying right now, brainstorming, not barnstorming. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea in 5 minutes. It's a good idea in a day. Hold on to it for a minute, okay? Let the conviction of the courage fuel you forward, not accidentally move you backwards because something feels good in a second that pulls you back to where you shouldn't be, okay? That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. If you want to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I would encourage you to do that there. Also, I want to let you guys know of a couple of updates before we move into personal readings for today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Strength card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Hermit card. I am so excited to teach this card. It is a fascinating card. It is a mysterious card. It's a funny card because sometimes it pops up in my readings without the card actually coming out. We're going to talk about the symbology of that card. We're going to talk about the history of the card. We're going to talk about spread application, how you can interpret that card depending on how it appears when you pull for it. And I'll also be giving you a unique spread that is focused entirely on the lessons of the Hermit. And all you need to do if you would like to become a part of that tarot class program is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a subscriber, have access to the full Tarot Church Library. That is over 9 hours worth of material that is there for you when you are ready to receive it, all of the previous classes. It is not necessary to be able to catch up for our classes. If you're just joining us, I will be giving a recap on what we've studied thus far, but the library is there for you to access as a subscriber. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. Do not be worried about your skill level. You will be welcome there. It is available. It is accessible for anyone at any skill level. And also, if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, please head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel. There in the perks section, you will find a very special coupon code that will give you an additional discount to that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to our giveaway information. And speaking about giveaways, we have announced the winner of our November giveaway. Congratulations to our winner. You can head over to my Substack to see if you won. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are personalized per each individual's personal growth or spiritual growth potential and direction. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I am very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. Finally, I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you're following me across all of the social channels. You can find all of those social links over on my Linktree. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.